Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's just be you. Welcome back, everybody, to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast, hosted by yours truly, Kale Houser, co-founder of Kale Houser Leadership. Thank you very much for taking the time to share this moment with me. I very much do appreciate it, and I greatly enjoy getting the opportunity to provide hopefully a little bit of insight / tips, techniques, procedures, strategies to help improve how you lead in your workplace, whether you're the business owner, whether you're a department head, a supervisor, manager, whatever that may be in your world, for whatever industry that is. A lot of the things I discuss are very applicable to many different situations. So take that little bit of time to kind of analyze and think through how this can apply to you. Today, we're going to talk something a little more, general in nature, in the form of being yourself. Be you. We get caught up a lot, especially as our sphere of influence increases and we have more interactions and various interactions, not necessarily just in our, one little area of expertise, but maybe throughout different spheres of influences, that we find ourselves being almost chameleon-like in that we adapt and change and take on different personas in each of those situations. Now, you could easily argue that there's an advantage to this. Just like the chameleon, there's an advantage for them being able to change their skin and match their environment. It's protective, it's camouflage, it protects them from predators. We don't necessarily do that to protect from predators or danger or anything of that nature. We do it usually to fit in. We do it usually to create some sort of pathway to connection with that group or that environment that we found ourselves in. Now, while on the surface, this can be a good thing because you do need to adapt. You do need to realize that in certain environments, maybe topics shouldn't be talked about. You may go into different groups or settings where it's not appropriate to talk about certain topics. So in that nature, you're going to kind of change how you interact and dialogue with people. But for the most part, we find ourselves, and maybe this is just me, but we find ourselves that we get a little fake. Is that a little too honest? We put on this mask, we put on this little, whether it be a fake persona, a fake attitude, a fake background. Like it can get as bad as just straight up lying, straight up creating this false identity or this false persona that you're projecting to people in order, whether it be to impress them, to fit in, whatever the case may be. We do that in a sense that it lends towards the negative instead of being advantageous to spur connection and conversation in that situation. But we find ourselves with these different versions of ourselves, and I would argue that's not you. You know who you are without getting too hyperbole or anything of this nature. But there may be a husband you or a wife you. There may be a mom you or a dad you, a son or a daughter you. There may be a church you. Have we ever ran into that problem where maybe the things that you're espousing on, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night may not be the same you on Tuesday afternoon or Friday night? Does that make sense? Like there's these two different things to fit those environments that are incongruent with each other or even at odds with each other. There may be a boss you. You're one type of person as the boss versus, maybe at home or anything else. And this may be out of necessity that you need to be a little more, whether it be strict or anything like that versus, maybe at home with your 3-year-old daughter or something of that nature. But there could be a business you. There could be a you that drives, who has a different personality that tends to come out when you're driving. That is certainly me. I tend to be a little bit more aggressive in my driving, and I base it a large part in my year of Afghanistan and driving around there as the contributing factor for that. But it could be a different version of you in your community and how you present yourself to your Rotary Club or your local VFW or any other type of community involvement that you have, your Tuesday night men's softball league or your women's pocket pickleball league, whatever those things are that you involve yourself in your community, they could have different versions of you. But what it ultimately comes down to is that you're putting the importance on other people's opinion of you. How other people see you becomes more important to you than how you see yourself, and representing what is actually you to other people to either like or not like, and be okay with that. And that understanding, and it bears repeating, even though we all get it. Like, you can't go around trying to impress people unendingly. You can't try and be all things to all people. It just doesn't work. It'll work temporarily and it might get you short-term gains, but it absolutely will fail you in the long run as you become this different person in all these different situations and scenarios and around different people. And as you may decide, and I hope you do, I hope you take that step to recognize this and recognize the benefits of not doing this. As you decide to be the same person in these different situations, be the same person at church that you are on Friday night when you're going out with the boys or the gals. Be the same person in the boardroom or in your office as you are, out on the softball field or the soccer field, whatever that is. That you're the same person in the grocery store as you are at home. That you're the same person in all these different scenarios. And certainly I'm not saying these are the only 5 topics I ever talk about no matter what my audience is. That's not what I'm alluding to. What I'm alluding to and trying to convince you of is stop so dramatically changing your personality, what you agree with, and your standards and your morals and all those types of things that make you who you are, who you've decided to be. And it absolutely could be that you kind of don't know who you are. You haven't taken that time to really lay out your convictions, lay out your standards, your lines in the sand where, some things you will or will not do. And that's a different discussion, but I would encourage you to have that if you have not already. And honestly, you may lose friends as you do this. You may find that, as nice as it is, I've used this example before in the past, to hang out with the fellas on Friday night or on Sunday afternoon, watching football and getting hammered and all those types of things, that may not be serving you anymore. And you need to make that change because, that maybe was great back in college or, as a young adult, but now you've got these other responsibilities with your family, your kids, or anything else that you want to pour more of your energy in, and that is really who you are more inside. And a lot of this comes with kind of a second part of this is the stories that you tell in these different situations. If there's a story that you can tell Friday night that probably you couldn't tell to the person sitting next to you at church, maybe you need to decide which is the real you. I hope you would decide on the church end because, that's what I believe. And I believe that is definitely a more valid long-term investment in yourself than the other side of that coin. But you understand the point of the stories that you tell are a very good indicator of what type of person you are and who you are. So I would encourage you, absolutely, be you, just be you. Figure out who that is, who you want to be, what you want to project to your marketplace, to your industry, to your team, to your office, and stick to that. Be that person. Work on that person and becoming a better version of that person instead of trying to become this, half a good version across like 10 different areas that you can never keep track of, So yeah. Little something to think about today as you're going about through your day. Thank you for taking the time. Visit kalehouser.com. I would appreciate it. Likes, comments, subscribes. Let your friends, your buds, your pals, your lady friends, your gal friends know. That would be extremely helpful. Help grow the channel. We'll talk to you soon. No matter where you're at in the world, have a great and fantastic afternoon. Bye.